This is a special episode of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast for YouTube only. So this is a YouTube exclusive. There was a first part of this podcast over on Spotify and Apple and all of the places you listen to just the audio. So if you're confused, this is definitely a special episode. But I realized that there was so much more visual aspect to it that it really only warranted a YouTube video. So there'll be 2 posts today here on YouTube, and then 1 that is just the audio version of the other things I'm talking about today. So this will be a little bit shorter, but you can go check out the other post for today to get more of the podcast style. Today we're going to be talking about decorating an open concept. This was inspired by my parents' home, which happens to be a large, what we call in the Midwest, a shouse. So this is basically where you build a barn that can house things that farms need, such as a tractor. In my parents' case, a large walk-in freezer for my sister's meat business. There's side-by-sides, there's a pool table. So there's a large portion that is not living space, is more like a shed. But then in the larger shed, you put a portion that is living quarters. This is a very popular home style here where I live. And it ends up being very open concept in a lot of cases. Now, I think sometimes you could make it not that way. But what my parents did was a large room with a loft upstairs with an office and a bedroom. And then downstairs, it's a big living space, a kitchen, and then 1 separate room that is the bedroom and another bathroom. My parents' original plan for their home, whenever they built it, it was after I was moved out, but only shortly after. So this has been quite a while. I'd say about 15 to 20 years. You guys are probably like, if my parents are listening, thinking, okay, it's been this amount. I don't know. It's been a while ago, but at that time, they still had 2 kids at home. I was going to say 3, but I believe it was 2 kids at home, and they're quite a bit younger than me. And so they thought, we'll build this living quarters, like this big shed to house all the things we need for the farm. We'll put a living quarters in that and we can live there while we are building our home. And they had a home site picked out. But as the construction process went, the inside, the living quarters weren't so bare. They added on what was supposed to just be a loft, ended up having stairs up to it instead of just a ladder. And then it ended up getting bigger and nicer to the point where they said, you know, it just does not make sense to build another home when we have a place this nice. And then of course my younger sisters moved out. It's just my parents. We all go to my parents' house every single week. My 3 sisters, our spouses, our kids. It's a big old gathering, and the barn, as we call it, works really well for that because it's a big open space. We can all gather and there's plenty of room. So it just works perfectly in this season of life for them. There's no need to build another home. But my mom still had a few things that she felt like it was lacking. And one day we were out at their place and we were talking about it. And I said, Mom, you can make this home what you wanted originally with this space. You don't have to build another home to have that. And I started bringing up some ideas. I was telling her, you need to move your living room. You need to have a separate dining table. We need to work with this open concept and make little rooms throughout it to make it cozy and to have all of the space that you desire. That sparked a lot of ideas. She was, as soon as I started talking, she was seeing it, and she was very excited to complete it. Now this was already, I'd say at least 2 years ago, but it has slowly been coming together. And today I finally have a lot of before and after. It's not fully done, but you can catch the vision with what we have so far and see how much of an improvement we made by taking this open concept and changing some things around and making it more of her dream home with only some minor changes. And so far, she is so happy with everything that we've done. Now, I say we, but a lot of this has been my ideas mixed with my mom's ideas, and then my younger sister, Andrea, who has the YouTube channel, Our Sweet Sunny Days. She likes design too. So it's been her and me and mom in a text thread. You know, do you like these curtains? Do you like this chair? Do you like this kitchen island? And we've been slowly over time doing this, but a lot of the things mom has DIY'd herself as we've, you know, given her, I'd say the go ahead, but of course she has a say in it too. But she's made over a table, so she sanded it, stained it. She had my uncle make a top for it. She painted the color we agreed on. She's ordered some chairs. Anyways, we're gonna get into all that. Let's first talk about the barn before. Unfortunately, I don't have any before videos, but I was able to crowdsource lots of photos from my sister's wedding, which happened to be here, so I have her getting ready photos. Some people found some in their camera roll. I'm gonna put them all up here and you're gonna be able to see that there was a couch in the middle of the room and a really large, outdated entertainment center. So basically, the whole room was the living room, sort of. There was a bar over in one corner, and when Dad originally had the plan for that bar, I think it was supposed to be more of a hangout space, not so much their real home. And over the years, it really never got used except for as overflow seating for extra guests. Now that didn't really make sense because it wasn't a lot of seating, and it put those people very much out of the conversation, really far away from everybody. So to me, in my mind, we needed to make several rooms. And that is my first tip when it comes to open concept, is even though it's all one massive room, creating several small cozy rooms, designating them with large pieces of furniture and rugs, and putting the backs of some furniture, close it off, and create separate spaces. That's the first tip I have for open concept. So you can see Mom and Dad's house before. There was a couch in the middle of the room, and it kind of made the whole thing feel like one massive living room. And then the dining table that, we have a huge family, so many kids, so many people these days, with 5 different families coming together pretty much weekly. One tiny little dining table that seats 6, a couple bar stools at the bar in the kitchen, and then a separate bar. So the first step was to convince Dad that we needed to get rid of the bar. This was a very hard sell at first, especially because at this time we did not have anything else to put in that spot. And then we also didn't have anywhere for his bar to go, which, he didn't want to waste the money that he invested in getting the bar. So without the full vision, this is a very hard sell. And he also wasn't too excited about getting rid of his nice, perfectly good entertainment center. A lot of men are this way. They don't see why you would change something. It's fine the way it is. I think a lot of you women can relate to that. We took the bar and we moved it out to the area where he has his pool table, and we put the TV out there and mounted it. I did not get footage of it, but it is the coolest space. Before, people who are playing pool just played pool over in that section without anybody watching them. And now people gather into that area because there's seating, there's somewhere to set a drink, to watch the game if that's what people are doing. There's also a vintage checks machine out there. So it's a little game area, just kind of, I guess you could call it like a man cave. It's so amazing how reimagining a space ends up changing everything about how you use it. So before, that wasn't a very inviting place to go. We didn't play pool as much as we play it now, but having that shift took something that was really not working inside at all, and then ultimately gave it a space where it's serving the function I think it was originally intended to serve. It just needed to move. And that happens a lot in our homes. Just because you make a decision once for one season of life or one vision doesn't mean you can't change it later whenever it works better. That's something that you need to reevaluate in your home. We did all of this very much in phases because it was an overwhelming project. We had to find a lot of pieces here and there to fill the space out. We took the couch that Mom and Dad had and just moved it over there. That way we could start to get used to what is it like putting the living room in a whole different section that we're not used to watching TV, putting the couch. And we just started to make that shift. So we moved the couch and the chair over. We had no credenza. We got rid of the entertainment center, so that created this vast open space. But we stayed the course and slowly made the changes as we got used to each step along the way. Again, this was over a year-long process. No, 2 years long. Next, we swapped out the couch. So I do want to say thank you to today's video sponsor, Valencia. The Valencia Lifestyle Series is the leading luxury furniture retailer that is known for its premium Italian leather and high quality fabric. Their fine contemporary sofas, sectionals, accent chairs, and ottomans are carefully and uniquely designed to elevate your space into modern luxury living. They have over 22 styles on their website that is certain to have something that'll work for whatever lifestyle you have. For my parents, there are a lot of grandkids coming over, lots of people in and out. They'll be playing in the creek, the tank pool. We have people getting wet. Some of the kids eat in the living room, which my parents don't mind. So we need something that can stand up to all of that, yet still be beautiful and stylish. And I know that we found it in this Valencia sectional. Now, at first we did put over their original couch, which didn't have a whole lot of shape. It was just too big, not sleek at all. And bringing in that sectional gave more seating, and it brought so much style and color. We are going for a black, green, brass, leather type of look throughout the whole barn. and the Valencia sectional was just the perfect thing. Every Valencia piece is thoughtfully crafted by a maestro, and every piece is a story waiting to be told. We went with the artisan leather L-shaped sofa. I just put the pillows that Mom already had on her original sofa. I could not believe how much this elevated the space. The L shape also really sectioned off from the rest of the house to create those different moments throughout their open concept, which can be such a challenge. And having that L really gives a nice hard line of where the living room is supposed to be. You can find the Valencia Artisan L-shaped leather sofa that we have for my parents' barn down in the description box below with my link. Again, thank you so much, Valencia Theater Seating, for sponsoring this episode. Now, another big problem that I wasn't sure how to solve, but ended up, I think, figuring it out. And I don't know how well the camera captures it, but in real life, it just made such a difference. My dad is a hunter, which you can tell by the photos that I've presented so far and the videos I've presented. So he has mounts all over the place. And over in the living room section, once we took out the bar, which sort of elevated things, the animals just really appeared to be floating in midair with no anchor point to tie them to. And I wasn't sure what to do about it, but one day it kind of hit me that we need a different color here. So I told Mom we should run a piece of trim from the wood stove stone over to the other wall and then paint that and down a different color. We decided to go with the same color that we did in the bathroom. Now, a few Christmases ago, my sisters and I made over the bathroom. It was just cream painted, and we ended up giving it that same green color, adding some art above the toilet with different animals and deer antlers, stuff that my dad would also like, some black accents. We decided to put that same color over in the living room area. Once we did that and then added some art, my sister Andrea from Our Sweet Sunny Days helped Mom pick out some art on Etsy. We found frames. I don't remember if these frames came from thrift shops or if she bought them new. We had collected some at thrift shops and then we went back and forth, but Andrea helped her do the whole art situation. She got a frame TV, and then we also got a new credenza. It all came together just so beautifully. Now for the dining space, again, the big key with decorating an open concept is creating separate areas even though there are no walls. So a big substantial table we knew would really help to define the dining space. Now we thought about putting in a dining rug, but ended up thinking that'll just be more work to vacuum it, and we really don't need it because the table is so weighty. It's a very large, nice table. It really defines the space all on its own. So my sister Andrea found a table base over on Facebook Marketplace, and Mom sanded it, stained it, and then my uncle made a top to put on top of it. She got some black chairs, put some just simple decor in the middle of it. And now there's a dining room in a home that didn't have one before. Now, another complaint Mom had was the kitchen is very, very small. So instead of putting a small dining table in the one half of the kitchen, we now moved the dining room out, and Mom is going to have an island over in that half of the kitchen. Now that has not happened yet, it's on order, but that's a work in progress. But again, we are trying to expand the kitchen and then create more rooms throughout the home. Another thing she did, which we don't have yet, is she ordered some chairs for a little conversation area over where the bear is. So you can see the mounted bear. We're gonna have two chairs facing each other, maybe a little coffee table in the middle. So that'll be a seating conversation area. So now, where there was essentially just one room before, there are now three separate areas. So a seating area, a very defined living room thanks to the Valencia L-shaped sofa, and then a dining room. So between creating those separate rooms, putting a bold color to help the animals not to float, I think we've made a lot of improvements, and so far Mom is very happy with it. She's also doing a little bit over in the kitchen. This has inspired her. So she got some new countertops. My cousin's gonna come over and do a backsplash. I believe she also ordered a vent hood for her oven where the microwave is. So again, this has been a 2-year process, and we're just gonna keep going along with it. It's getting better every time I come over. I think, okay, this is looking so good. It's coming together. Oh, another thing, we also encouraged her to get new curtain rods and curtains because they were hung a little bit too low and narrow, making the windows very small. She brought the rods up and out, which is what a lot of professional designers will encourage you to do to make windows look bigger. She brought in that green color. I think that made a world of difference. Now those were not pleated curtains, but she did the pleat tape and pleater hooks, which I showed you how to do on my Farmhouse on Boone channel with my IKEA curtain hack. So I'll link that down below, but you can see how to make those pleat curtains yourself as well. So I think we made a big improvement. Let me know what you think and if you've had challenges decorating your open concept and if any of these tips helped. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast. If you want to hear the rest of the audio version only of today's podcast, make sure to check out the other posts that we did today here because I wanted to separate these to make the more visual component a special episode here on YouTube. All right, I will see you in the next episode of the Simple Farmhouse Life podcast.